total black girl, white girl. I don't know what's wrong with her. But thank y'all for tuning in yet again. This is another episode continuing the series, Finding Your Why. And today I'm with the crazy, but the beautiful, smart, intelligent, wonderful Helene, who is currently a student. You know, we made it to the land of MS2, second years now. Praise break.
Yes, Lord, thank you.
We made it to the land of second years. She goes to Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, we met each other at Baylor University.
Hey, sick and bears. Catch on. Come on.
Hey, sick and bears. Okay. Yeah, so I just brought her here just to tell you guys, just for her to tell y'all a little bit about her story and her why and how she found her why, what inspired her, what motivates her, and how she, stays motivated throughout medical school. So first, I'd like you to tell the viewers a little bit about you, a little bit about your background, blah, 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 blah.
Hey guys, so like she said, my name's Helene. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I went to undergrad at Baylor University in Waco, and that's where I met Sandy. After undergrad, I worked as a scribe for about half a year to a year, and then I went off to med school in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, I was a psych major in undergrad.
So was I. We basically did the same exact thing because I scribed too, so I guess just try to be like me. But it's okay, a lot of people try it. Okay, so she's told you guys a little bit about herself, she's introduced herself. Now I just want her to tell you, what motivated you to pursue medicine? What motivated you to be pre-med, to say that I want to be a doctor when I grow up? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so actually when I graduated high school, I basically didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it wasn't until my youngest nephew at the time, his name's Jaden, he got diagnosed with autism. And so at that point I was like, okay, maybe I want to do speech pathology. So I looked into the field, and I realized it was too narrow for me. I wanted to do more. So when I went to Baylor, I ended up being a psych major, but I wasn't pre-med yet. And so I just ended up getting just like some clinical experience, just volunteering at different places. And then once I realized like, okay, maybe I want to like look at medicine, I became pre-med. While I was at Baylor, I went on a mission trip to Ghana, and it was a medical mission trip. And so I spent 2 weeks there, and basically that trip was just like amazing.
I definitely want to be a doctor. Like this is it. This is for me.
That's literally like where like my personal statement when I was applying to med school kind of centered around that trip. And I just met some amazing people there, and just hearing their stories just really was like, wow, Helene, like maybe medicine is for you. Like let's explore it. So then when I got back, I shadowed a bunch of doctors. I I volunteered with Blue Bonnet Hospice. I just did just a bunch of like clinical experience. And then when I went and worked as a scribe, I was like, okay, this is definitely for me. Like for sure, I'm doing medicine.
So again, like we had in Catherine's video, I don't know if you guys remember Catherine from the first Finding Your Why video, I think it was the first one. She spoke a lot about exploring and about taking the time out to actually like look in, like Helene said, she didn't know what she wanted to do when she got into college. It took time for her to explore, to try different things, to, see if she liked this, see if she liked that, volunteer here, do this kind of community service, for her to solidify really her choice to pursue medicine. I think that's super important, something that a lot of us may like try to skip over, but we can't, like we have to make sure that this is like something that we actually want, because medical school is hard, pre-med is hard, like all this stuff is hard, it costs a lot of money, applications are expensive, It's not easy, it's stressful. So the fact that she actually took the time out to like make sure that's what she wanted to do, she took a medical mission trip, and that really solidified her decision. Like that's incredible, and I would really encourage you guys don't even have to do something as big as a medical mission trip, but like just go out there and like just delve into a little bit like of different things, a variety of things, just to make sure that this is what you want to do. Make sure it's worth it for you, because I don't want you guys to think that you guys want to be a doctor because that's what you said in kindergarten, when they asked you what do you want to be when you grow up. But I want you guys really to find your why and to find what really drives you, and that's the purpose of this series. So I really hope it's beneficial for you so far. So you said that trip, the medical mission trip to Ghana, was really what solidified your decision to become a doctor.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that mission trip?
Yeah, so we spent 2 weeks there. It was through Baylor, actually. They had like a organization which basically put on a bunch of mission trips. So I applied to the mission trip. They can only take 15 students, so I was just like really hoping that I would get accepted into the trip, and so I did. The trip was during like the end of May, so it was after school already ended, and then like kind of into the summer. And so basically we were able to shadow a bunch of physicians in Ghana and learn about the healthcare there. We got to also do a little bit of teaching at a nearby school. But in the hospital, we got to basically spend different amounts of times in the different wards. So they had like a female ward, a male ward, the public health ward, the OBGYN ward, the surgical ward. And so you could basically just get a lot of exposure. And then we also got to form a lot of bonds and relationships with the patients there. So one person in particular was a male patient. He was an older gentleman. And just hearing his story, long story short, he basically said that he was praying in front of his church congregation, and then he ended up feeling something pop in his brain and fainted at his church in front of the congregation, and then he woke up and was in the hospital. And he was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and the doctors didn't treat him because they didn't know what was wrong with him, because the technology in their hospital wasn't as advanced as we have in the US. And it really was close to my heart, because my dad ended up having a stroke that a couple months before I went on this trip. So then just hearing that, and it was like, wow, my dad was able to get the help that he needed, and he's doing like really great now. But then the gentleman over there wasn't able to get the same care that we could have provided him here. So I was just like, wow. So that really was just like, okay, I really want to do this.
That's a beautiful story. I'm sure it was a question that you got like during your interview process. Why do you want to be a doctor?
Yeah.
Why are you here basically? Like medical schools are going to want to know that. And a lot of people struggle, like they don't have an answer for that. So the fact that you have that one experience that like stands out in your mind and your memory, and you're able to recall it and retell it like that, that's really good.
And like your answer to like why you want to be a doctor doesn't have to be as, you know, extravagant as you know,
a medical mission trip. It doesn't have to be that big, but there are
anything like that's close to you that really pushes you to want to go into this long journey. So just don't compare your answer to someone else's, because everyone's journey is personal and it's different.
I agree. And undergrad, and you know, going through that process of exploring and trying to find, you know, your avenue, your career path, that's a challenge battle on its own, y'all. So I want you to tell us a little bit about your undergrad journey. Like, was there any difficulties that you experienced, or any hardships, or any, you know, times where you doubted, you know, is medicine really for me? Or, you know, tell us a little bit about that.
So undergrad, I wasn't the 4.0 student. Okay, so my GPA was okay. Like it was competitive for med school, but like it wasn't the best of my ability. So when my dad ended up getting sick, and he had a stroke, that basically kind of just threw me off for that whole semester. So I ended up getting not the best grades during that semester. I got a couple C's, and it just like wasn't y'all. My GPA was not that great at that point. And so at that point I was like, man, is this really for me? Like, am I smart enough? You know, everybody around you was like, you know, I got an easy A on this test and blah, blah, blah. Their GPAs are 3.9. You know, it's just like, wow. So I had a problem with comparing myself to other people. And that was my struggle in undergrad. And it's something that like I had to truly like work towards not doing. And it was a journey. It was a process. And so that was a bad semester, but I knew that I had to, because the thing about medical school, it's not necessarily like getting bad grades that will like stop you. It's like how you recover,
how you bounce back.
Exactly. So I knew that like that next semester I would need to really like be on it and like focused. And so that next semester I ended up doing very well. So it basically showed medical schools that like, okay, I had a little setback, but that's okay, because I can refocus myself and
overcome adversity and all that good stuff.
And medical schools like that. They like to see you overcoming adversities, and they'll ask you about it usually in your interview. They'll be like, okay, so we saw this, you know, your grades kind of, you know, what happened here? And you just explain to them what happened, and they're like, okay, wow, like you were able to bounce back, and that's what we like. Because as a doctor, you're going to want to be able to do that.
That's true. They will ask you about it. They will ask you what motivates you, or why do you want to be a doctor, and they're going to ask you about specific things on your application. So just a side note, they asked me about a B a B, a simple B that I got in Calculus 2. Calculus 2 is not in the medical school curriculum. It's not a prerequisite, but they asked me about that B. And I was sweating. I was like, I'm so sorry I got that B. Oh my God. Like, calculus is not my thing, but like, they will ask you about it. So just be prepared for that. That's just a little side note. Has nothing to do with the conversation we're talking about today. So to wrap it up, I'm just gonna ask you, what's any, last bit of advice or, just tips for students who are going through undergrad, trying to be where you are now, but are struggling with figuring out whether pre-med is for them, if they really do want to be a doctor, finding their why is hard for them, and they're just having a hard time getting through undergrad. What's your, best advice, best tip for that student?
So I think finding your why is super important, whether that's like some type of like family issue that happened, or maybe your best friend had a sickness, or whatever your why is, that's really important, and it's something to really hold on to. So when I was in Ghana, I actually kept a blog about my journey. So when things get hard for me, especially through med school, I just pull up my blog, it's online, and I just like reread some of the stories that I wrote in there, and it really just motivates me to just like keep going. So I think if you're struggling, you really just need to figure out what your main motivation is, and just always have it in the back of your mind, so that when you're feeling down, you can use that to just give you the extra push that you need.
So I totally agree 100% with what Helene has said, and y'all, if she could make it, if I can make it, y'all can too. Like she said, there were hard times in undergrad. There was a whole semester where she didn't do as well as she would have loved to do, but she's still here. She's still just completed her first year of medical school at Morehouse University. Like, that is crazy. Morehouse, sorry. At Morehouse School of Medicine. So, y'all, she made it. If she can do it, you can do it. I can do it. Y'all can do it. We all can do it. Like,
everybody can literally do it.
If you just have your why, know what motivates you, know what you're going to go back to when things get tough in medical school, when things get tough in undergrad, and you're tired of studying, or you got another B on a test or another C on a test, and you're just like, am I smart enough? Am I supposed to be going down this path? Like, maybe I need to, be a farmer, Maybe I need to go with farmersonly.com. But no, like, at those moments, you need to have something that you pull, like, that you reach back and you just, like, pull to the front of your memory and your brain, and you're like, no, I'm in this for a reason. Like, God has this planned out for me for a reason. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to reach my goal. It might take me down a different path than, like, people around me. It might take me a little bit longer. I might need to explore this and that first, but at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that what God has for you is for you, and nobody can take it away from you. With that being said, I'm hoping that you guys really enjoyed this vlog with Helene here. But thank you guys for those who have, kept up since the beginning. Thank you guys for watching, for subscribing, for commenting, for sending me emails. If y'all have any questions for me or for Helene, I will direct, your questions or whatever. So just send me an email, always at the end of the video, and also in the description box below. Let me know what you guys want to see on the next upcoming vlogs. My summertime is pretty free, working on a website for you guys. Y'all still stay tuned for that. Follow me on Instagram, and yeah, share, like, comment, subscribe, and tune in for the next vlog on Black Girl White Coat. Thank y'all.
And follow me on Snapchat, H_OKPERE. Instagram, Helene_the_.